I'm annoyed again. And gosh, that sounds bad, but every time we come on the show, not annoyed. Let's just point out some of the hypocrisies. And in an effort, what? To make America great again, maybe, in my mind, but just to call out some of the things that are not common sense, which uh, Zohran Mamdani in New York City, all the things that he is pushing to me is the opposite of common sense. It's the antithesis. And unfortunately, we had, gosh, what an awful day in New York City this past week. The tragic shooting in Manhattan, in Midtown, leaving 4 people dead and the shooter gone as well. But he, of course, is a Democratic frontrunner for Mayor Zohran Mamdani. And I'm not sure how much I had not at all followed him up until a couple of months ago when he came out and won that Democratic primary. But this man was praising segments of the NYPD after what they did to help the victims earlier this week. Let me put my glasses on because I can't see exactly which tweet this is. Um, yeah, he is praising parts of NYPD. And at the end of the day, great. We need to praise them. And it's specifically the Strategic Response Group, SRG. The problem is that is the exact same unit, the one that responded, the exact same unit that he called to be disbanded just a couple of months ago. And that's where the problem comes in. And it is so much bigger than Zohran Mamdani, of course. This is where he's complimenting them from the other day. The first tweet was when he was criticizing them and saying, gosh, they paid millions in taxpayer dollars. It basically goes into the defund police vibe that we saw throughout this country. Can people evolve? Absolutely. Do I believe Zohran Mamdani is evolving and all of a sudden saying, yes, NYPD, back the blue. We need to keep the funding going to maybe prevent things like this, where you had a man walking through a massive open air area of Midtown Manhattan with whatever that was, an AR-15, a massive gun. And no one stopped him. No one saw a thing or saw enough to be concerned, which is shocking to me. If anything, we need more police officers. You look at crime in New York City, and in many of these big cities, of course, which are Democrat run, blue run. So should I be more kind? Instead of saying, BS, you're just saying this, Mamdani, to react to the current news and to get elected when we know your past history. We know your track record. Am I being too rough on him, guys?
No.
I call BS on you and get out of here. This is all done just to benefit yourself in this time.
Drew, take it away.
Well, how about the fact that he comes from big money? He just had a big wedding where he had huge security during a period of mourning at that country that they were having the wedding. And here's the pictures. I mean, he is so hypocritical. It's it's what Rob Henderson calls luxury beliefs. I don't know if you've interviewed Rob Henderson.
Yeah.
He's a Oxford trained. He wrote a book called Troubled about his upbringing, and he ended up at Yale, then Oxford, and now he's a wonderful social psychologist. And he said when he got to Yale, he was around a bunch of kids who were telling him what his upbringing was like because they were elite and had no idea what it was actually like. Luxury beliefs. That's what this Mamdani guy has. And I'm getting confused about what their guiding principles are. Right? On one hand, they're totalitarian. They want to take over and own the businesses and own the housing and give free this, free that. On the other hand, they don't want any government. They don't want borders. They don't want housing. They don't want police. They don't want the basic functions of government. I want them to govern, please. I want them not to fill the reservoirs so we don't burn down. I want them to have functioning fire hydrants. I want them to everything we need to function, roads that work, transportation. We got none of it in Los Angeles. I'm here to tell you how a city works. When they don't govern, it's a catastrophe. The housing begs no issue. This guy is a fraud. I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh, he's beyond a fraud. But Drew, I can answer your question. I think you'll agree with my diagnosis here. The reason that they go after the police so specifically is because they need more chaos. The more chaos there is, the more that the average person will say, good God, we need the state to help us. And so when they offer, free housing, free health care, all of these things, that's just turning to the state for the answers. So they like the chaos because a certain amount of chaos will leave people just grasping for an answer somewhere.
I guess you're right, Dave, and sometimes I forget about that. That is true. It is deeper than just the police. It is the chaos, which then brings on panic, and then we know what happens when that panic sets in, whether it's here in California, New York, wherever it is. I just hope and pray that the great people of New York City
Yes.
through this mess and do not. I mean, we have just seen in the last couple of years since COVID how far south this city has gone, which to me was always the greatest city, possibly on the planet, but definitely in our country. And what's happened the last couple of years is disgusting and shocking. And if this guy gets in, if you out there elect him, it's on you. And in my mind, it's over.
And that people get what they elect. That's it. I mean, here we are in California. Everybody, how do you like Palisades so far? Working out for you? And I spent a lot of time in New York City. I'm a property owner there, and I talked to the cops. And it had been going in a good direction. Mayor Adams was, say what you will about him, he's trying, and they have cops on the subway platforms all the time now. And I talked to those guys, and they are happy to be there.
You know what? I think we need to remember, no matter where we are across the country, whether it's with this situation or whether it's, parenting children, once you let that toothpaste out of the tube, getting it back in is so damn hard. And so where's the accountability that comes from that? Can we fix some of these things? Some of them, some people, in many cases, frankly, are too far gone. But we must stop now with whatever it is in order to save the country, to save our kids, et cetera. But I no longer am really willing to walk down many of the streets in New York City. I'm here in Los Angeles for the first time in a couple of years, and it looks a little different than the last time I was here. So you got to stop the bleeding now. I've enjoyed seeing Eric Adams kind of make that turn in some ways. He's taken so much criticism.
He's trying,
but
his poll numbers are absolutely terrible right now because the Democrats have let the inmates run the asylum.
Yes.
Rachel, if you could put that tweet up for a second again, because I think we glossed over the key line actually in the tweet. Look at the last line there. As mayor, I will disband the SRG, which has cost taxpayers millions in lawsuit settlements and brutalized countless New Yorkers exercising their First Amendment rights. The NYPD and the SRG has brutalized no New Yorker exercising their First Amendment rights. If you're talking about their right to overtake a campus and use it as a breeding ground for terrorism and to put up illegal tents and to literally lock janitors in buildings, which they're now in a lawsuit with, and stop Jewish students from going to campus, et cetera, et cetera. If that's what you mean, then maybe. But he said First Amendment rights. So they're purposely twisting everything for their own purposes. And I'll just say one other kind of very disturbing thing, which is that my mother-in-law, who I think maybe Sage you met at some point, she's one of the few people that, for reasons I can't even begin to explain, still lives in New York City. We're getting her down here to Florida so she can be grandma down here in Florida. And they're moving soon. But she lives about 5 blocks away from the shooting. And I texted her and her husband when I saw it. And I didn't hear from them for about an hour. They just happened to not be available. But I had that thought for a second. Like, I had that thought. That I don't want to say. And it's like, man, look, crazy stuff can happen everywhere, right? Florida, we do it right here. Could something crazy happen? Of course it can. There's no perfect system. But the fact that New York City has all the gun laws it has and everything else, and what their answer is, okay, more gun laws. I mean, he came out and said, okay, I want to take AR-15s now. I have 2 AR-15s. They're actually right here. You're not taking my AR-15s. Who do you think you are? We have God-given rights in this country. So it is very, very dangerous what is happening in New York City right now.